That fresh produce stand there, that's a beauty.
What do you listen to?
My favorite murder podcast.
Taggart and Torrance podcast.
The produce stand.
Fucking sexy.
You heard the man. It's the Produce Stand, your favorite source for everything in the universe. I'm Al, your host. Matt and Victor are on the mics, and tonight we're getting a little nasty with Mirasty. And just like Dolo, we're feeling blessed tonight to introduce our guest. Joining us, he is a Cree Canadian former professional hockey player from Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan, a former provincial and Golden Gloves boxing champion, a counselor, and now an actor, but we all know and love him as one of the Jims on Shoresy. Please join me making some noise for Jon Mirasty.
Who wants to set the tone, boys? Who's going to fucking set it? Yeah! Whoa! Let's get on the go, boys!
This team will never lose again.
Welcome to the Produce Stand, Jon.
Thank you very much, guys. That's quite the introduction. I gotta listen to that annoying voice, Shoresy.
Exactly. Now, where are you speaking to us from right now?
I'm actually on my reserve Fine Dutch First Nation in northern Saskatchewan, about 3 hours north of Saskatoon.
Wow, that's amazing. So actually, I wanted to talk to you about that because last spring, I was in Prince Albert recording stories for my other podcast. So I got halfway to where you are. Beautiful country up there. So you're even past that, I guess. Yeah,
I'd be about 2.5 hours northwest of Prince Albert, but I'm very well familiar with PA. I played my junior year there in the Western Hockey League.
That's right. You played with the Raiders, correct?
Yes.
That's amazing. So, like I said, beautiful country up there. I really enjoyed visiting up there. Of course, I was there in the summer, so it was a bit more pleasant there. But it's funny, everything they say about Saskatchewan being flat is true until you get to around Prince Albert, and then it does get kind of hilly.
Yeah, there's a few hills. I think the beautiful thing about Saskatchewan is the north, the forest. Just 6 days ago, I shot a young bull moose, and I mean, you don't get to do that when you're in the big cities and stuff. So For me, it's nice to be able to step off my deck and shoot animals. And not saying I want to kill animals, but, to hunt and sustenance and stuff like that. And living on the farm life. And I love playing hockey. I love being in the big cities. Living in Russia was always an awesome experience. But it was always nice to know that I'd be coming home and living the life that I live. Sure.
Well, we'll get to your time in Russia as well. But let's start with just kind of, you've been playing hockey your entire life, right? When did you start?
Oh, like any other Canadian kid, I grew up with a pair of skates and had a dad that was more of a skilled type of player than I was. But believe it or not, at a young age, I was always one of the better players in the province, playing hockey. And then I think it kind of hurt me because I went to a junior camp and when I was 14 years old and got in a fight and I fared pretty well. And, a few years later, I was...
You got labeled
the nasty Mirasty. I was fighting instead of scoring goals.
Right. So you got labeled pretty early on.
Yeah. So let's go right into that right away. How early did the nickname Nasty come into play? And what was sort of is there an origin story there? Or it just works because it flows so well off your name?
It just kind of comes naturally with the name, right? The last name and the way it flows is pretty smooth. But I think it was towards the end of my junior career, I used to actually be called Chief a lot because, on my First Nations background. But, to be honest, I never really liked being called Nasty Mirasty, but it just kind of sat with me. And after a while, it just comes, it's my second name. I get called it all the time. And now I'm just starting to adapt to being called Jim all the time.
How are you enjoying that? Like going around and having everyone sing your name out, Jim, Jim, Jim.
Yeah, it's an awesome feeling, to get the following that we get and the way it all came about and how I got the opportunity is pretty wild. And, when I first was given the opportunity, I didn't even have a clue what Letterkenny or Shoresy was going to be. And to see how much it's grown and the popularity that's gained and we just did our NHL tour there for the first 5 games it was crazy, being sold out at every venue and just seeing the following that we get, obviously without the fans and the followers, we wouldn't be where we are today. So it's an awesome feeling and it's pretty cool to to even be in the airports in the States and see how popular the show is, get recognized even wherever we go.
Sure. Well, I mean, we'll get to the hockey stuff or the Shoresy stuff, but I mean, just like looking at your hockey career, I'm looking at your NHL or your hockey stats here. You played in places like Danbury, Syracuse, Fort Wayne. Obviously, we talked about Prince Albert. What was maybe your favorite stop?
Oh, definitely Syracuse was like the place that I played the majority of my career, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a couple of those other places that you mentioned were just kind of stops along the way with negotiations and stuff. But Syracuse would have to be definitely my favorite spot. I was treated like gold there.
Mm-hmm.
I still have friends and family there. We talk all the time. I get invited back all the time. Class act organization just gave me a lot of great memories. And so, yeah, Syracuse has probably got the best spot for me.
Mm-hmm. Then 2011 to 2013, you did go over to Russia for a bit. You spent some time in the KHL, Vityaz Chekhov and Beres Ostana. I mean, what was that like? Was that culture shock, or was it similar to kind of like rural Saskatchewan?
To be honest, it was a big culture shock.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to there's stories that I tell, and a lot of people probably don't even believe me, but I have nothing bad to say about Russia. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd go back again. I should have went earlier. I did have a lot of opportunities when I was earlier in my career, but I kind of was trying to chase that dream of maybe possibly getting a chance to play in the NHL.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, I loved it. It really does make you respect where we're from, North America.
Yeah.
I mean, and just the little things, I always tell people it's like going back probably 50 or 60 years. They're not as much technology as us.
Right.
I remember me and Yablonski used to walk to the bank to get our money, and there's soldiers outside with machine guns, and we'd take pictures. But just being able to go to a 7-Eleven at midnight and get a slush and a bag of chips and chocolate bar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that easy over there, right? So I remember going to the grocery store and you'd see something like a Gatorade. And I would absolutely buy every single Gatorade that they had because you don't know the next time that the Gatorade was going to be on that shelf.
Right. And they were probably like $10 each or something. They were probably expensive.
Rubles.
Oh,
Rubles.
not to be honest. Everything over there was a lot cheaper, to be honest.
Oh, really?
I remember going to the bar for a bottle of vodka. You'd pay, $25.
Well, because it's homemade. Yeah.
That's the Russian water. But no, like I said, they treated me really. I mean, there's a lot of horror stories you always hear, but
mm-hmm.
I mean, every experience that I've had there has been better. Even the money that I was promised, I got more than I was supposed to get, and treated like gold everywhere I went. So I have nothing but good things to say about Russia, but it does make you respect your home country. And, I knew that at the end of the hockey season, I would be coming home. Right. So,
sure.
Yeah.
But it definitely was an experience. It was very educational for me, and it kind of shaped who I am today.
Now, KHL is a pro league, right? So you're not going there and spending time with billets or whatever. You're actually staying in a hotel or in like an apartment there.
Well, my first year I actually lived in a hotel. My second year I went to a different team and I stayed in a nice beautiful condo. But yeah, it's pretty much Europe's NHL.
Yeah,
I would call it. I mean, the salaries there are comparable to the NHL. You don't have the U.S. or Canadian government up your ass for taxes.
Right.
So, like I said, I should have went there a lot earlier and made more money. And that's kind of what got me on my Tim Hortons was my Russian money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, John, I know you've told these stories on other shows and whatnot, but our show is not really a hockey show, right? So our listeners, probably haven't heard any of your crazy stories. One of the great ones you have about kind of Grattan and kind of flying across the world, going home and going back again. It doesn't have to be that one. If you could share one of your kind of crazy KHL stories for our listeners that probably aren't so familiar with.
I could bring up the Grattan. I mean, that's a pretty fun one, and people don't ever realize they just watch the YouTube videos that, that was a good fight, but, they don't realize what actually happened there. So with the Grattan fight, and they're a little bit of a backstory is Grattan actually played for the team that I was playing for. So this was a very big game because we were going to be heading back to, he was coming back to play in his old barn and I was the new tough guy. Right. So they really wanted me there. But at that time, my wife had just given birth to my daughter, Ava. So, I had flew home back to, I shouldn't say flew home. My wife was in New York going to school, finishing her nursing degree off. And so I went home for the birth of my daughter, spent about a week and a half there. And then I had to go back, obviously, to hockey. But a few weeks later, my wife was having that postpartum, I guess, when they struggle a little bit with having her first kid.
Yeah.
And so I asked the owners, I was like, listen, can I go back? My wife's struggling, I go help her. And I mean, I should say we were stacked with tough guys. We had Jeremy Yablonsky, we had Kip Brennan, we had Nick Tarnowski. So we weren't hurting for the tough guy department and on our team. And obviously the team that was coming in to play us was Josh Gratton, and they also had Chris Simon. So when I brought this up to the boss man, who was our owner, I still to this day don't know his name. He was Russian mob. I had to actually talk through his son because his son spoke English. The boss man didn't speak English. So after a little bit of consideration, he said, yeah, you know what? You can go and see your wife. And we have tough guys that can take care of us while you're gone. So long story short is I basically flew across the Atlantic Ocean from Moscow all the way back to New York and literally landed at about supper time, went for supper with my wife, went to bed, and about 4:00 in the morning, my Skype was ringing on my phone because that's how we used to call people, was on Skype. And it was Jeremy Yablonsky. And he was like, Johnny, he said, we just had a brawl on this road game and we all got suspended. And this was like Wednesday, and we play at home on Friday, and you need to be there because that's when we're playing Josh Gratton and the other team. And I was like, are you guys crazy? I said, I just landed in New York. I said, I've only been here for like 7 hours. I said, I went for supper and went to bed. And it's like, and they basically said, it doesn't matter. He said, answer your phone. Sasha's going to call you, because Sasha was the boss man's son. And so a couple minutes later, my phone rings again, and it's Sasha. And he's like, Johnny, he says, you got to get back here. And I was like, fuck, you crazy? And he says, don't worry what it costs. We'll make sure you're compensated well. He says, we need you back for Friday's game. You got to remember, they're 12 hours ahead of us. So this is like Thursday afternoon where they are.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, well, let me see what I can do. I'll look for flights. So I remember going on the internet at like 3:00 in the morning, looking for flights to get back to Moscow. And I was making a really nice salary there, but I'm always cheap, even if the team's paying for it. I'm always trying to look for a good deal. And the only flight I could find was first class, and it was like $12,000.
Jesus.
And I was like, Sasha, I said, I found one. I said, but I'm not going to spend $12,000 to, fly for a game. Don't worry about it. Just get it. We'll reimburse you, he said. So anyways, I got this flight at 3:00 in the morning. I got this flight. I had to be at the airport at 5 p.m. And, so I had to get a ride to the airport, obviously tell my wife that I was leaving. And I flew all the way across the ocean. I had to fly from Syracuse to LaGuardia across the ocean. And when I landed in Warsaw, Poland, that's the long flight, right? From New York to Warsaw. I ended up missing my connecting flight to Moscow. So when I landed in Warsaw, I called the boss man's son again. I said, hey, man, I tried to make it, but I missed my connecting flight to Moscow. No, you got to figure it out. Pay whatever you can. So I ended up getting a flight from Moscow, from Warsaw, Poland to St. Petersburg, and then from St. Petersburg back to Moscow. So I landed on Friday afternoon, probably at like 5 p.m. when I should have been at the rink getting dressed. I landed at the airport in Moscow. And when I landed in the airport, I called Sasha. I said, hey, I landed. I said, but it's already 5:30. I mean, I still got a 2-hour drive to get to you and get dressed. He said, just leave your checked luggage. He says, all your equipment's in your stall at the rink. Just get in the vehicles outside. So I ran outside, and there was, like I said, our owner was owned by, was a mobster, right? So I go outside, and there's 2 Escalades with 2 cop cars in front, one in front and one in back.
You're getting the royal treatment, eh?
Damn,
So I got the royal treatment, and I basically got escorted through New York City. Not New York City, sorry, Moscow. Because you got to remember, Moscow is like New York City. Yeah. And we're basically going through the traffic with these police escorts. And I pull up to the rink right at like 6:50. I think the game's at 7. And there was a rule in the KHL that you had to be on the ice for warm-ups or you couldn't play. So I literally had to run to the dressing room, get dressed as fast as I could, and step on the ice. But you got to remember that I just finished flying for about 18 hours.
Yeah.
Actually, I should say 36 hours because I only went home for 6 hours.
Right.
You're probably fucking delirious by this point.
Oh, yeah. I fainted. So anyways, Jeremy comes and helps me because he's suspended, so he's not playing. So he's helping me get dressed, and I got to get on the ice, and there's only about a minute left in warmups. So I finally get dressed. I don't even put all my equipment on, and I go do 2 laps. And I come back in and I faint. And Alexei Zamnov and Nikolai, it was Zverev and
Zverev, yeah.
Zverev was our GM, and who was our coach? I'm going blank right now. Andre Nazar. No. Yeah. Anyways, I get called into their office, and they're like, well, you know what we flew you here for, right? Yeah. I said, I just want to fight and go. I want to go to bed. So he's like, okay, well, we'll get you out there right away. So then sure enough, first shift, I get on the ice, Grattan goes on the ice. I'm like, hey, let's go. And he's like, no, not now. Let's play a bit. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think he didn't understand that I just finished flying through.
Like, so, I'm here for one reason.
Yeah. So anyways, puck drops. We end up fighting. You can watch it on YouTube. I get the better pretty good. I mean, put his eye pretty much shut.
Wow.
And whatever. So we go serve our penalty. And in the KHL, it's a 2-fight rule, right? So after the second fight, you're kicked out. Mm-hmm. So we're in the penalty box. I serve the 5 minutes. I skate across the rink when I'm done serving my minutes, and I look at the coach. I'm like, okay, I want to go. Like, I don't want to be here. I want to fight again and get kicked out. So, sure enough, next shift I go, and I end up having to fight him again and beat him pretty good. And yeah, that was it. Basically, we had 2 pretty legendary fights you can watch on YouTube.
Jeez.
And
that's amazing.
And then after the game, the team left back on the road, and I stayed and partied for I think a day and a half with the boss man, and then they flew me back to. They flew me back to New York, and I think I got like I wanted to say a $50 or $75,000 bonus.
Wow!
So yeah. So it's straight cash when they're over there. So it was pretty. They made it worth my while. So
but it's the backstory that makes those fights that much more fun to watch.
Well, people always watch and say, "Oh, that was an awesome fight," but they don't knew what happened behind that story. Of that fight, right?
And that you got the Taylor Swift treatment. Getting
right.
Yeah. So, no, but it was, like I said, I really enjoyed Russia. And I said, I have nothing bad to say about that place.
Did you ever get the mob, trying to, recruit some of the enforcers for themselves?
Oh, all the time. That actually happened to me in Quebec.
Wow.
In the Quebec Senior League. I mean, I was a pretty big bad boy there at the time. And, I walked around with a mohawk and I always had black eyes, and they were paying me a real pretty penny when I was there. And I remember the one summer they said, well, why don't you just stay here all summer and you'll be a collector for us, the Hells Angels.
Oh man.
And I kind of said, I got to go. I had a young son that I left at home. So I said, no, I got to get home to my boy. And I was making a good dollar there too. But yeah, I've been offered some pretty wild jobs.
Amazing.
That's awesome. So like, obviously you've been labeled as an enforcer over the years. Like, what is your take on enforcer and goon culture? Like back when you were like in your heyday versus now, like how has it changed? Do you think it's something that's being lost to the game, or is it making a good transition?
Hockey's boring now. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not even I'm not even a guy that wants to promote violence. Like, I mean, I think fighting's good. I think too much of it's maybe not so good.
Yeah.
But I love back in the day when say me and Steve McIntyre stepped on the ice. Even if we didn't fight, there was still that animosity there. Like people are like, oh, they were on their toes thinking, oh, they're out there, they might go, or, and real true hockey fans that could know. I mean, some people that don't know anything about hockey think, oh, that's just barbaric. And they're just going out there to be goons and fight and hurt each other.
Yeah.
It's not true at all. I mean, I've been in a game. Well, look at just the other night. I'm not a big fan of Ryan Reeves, but I mean, he challenged that. I don't even know how you say his name, that the guy from Montreal, and Montreal was winning 3-0, and Ryan Reeves challenged him, and the guy said no. And then guess what happened? Toronto ended up winning 7-3.
And that's the beautiful thing. He pointed to the scoreboard saying, we're beating you. And look how
well, that's debatable. Some people say he was just waving the guy off, right? So who knows?
No, he was. I've been guilty of that too. I've pointed at the scoreboard like, screw you. Look, we're winning. But and it's actually bit me in the ass. I remember one time a guy, we went up 2-0 and the guy wanted to fight me. And I'm like, fuck, I'm not going to give you momentum. And I didn't fight him. And then next thing you know, they tie the game up, and then it makes me look bad, right? So, and I'm not going to say there are fighters out there that I couldn't stand, but I mean, for the most part, there was a mutual respect between all of us, right? No one wanted to see each other. I mean, I wanted to knock people the fuck out. Sorry, my language.
All good.
But
this is a Shoresy podcast.
Okay, but at the same time, you never wanted to really hurt somebody where they were going to be, where they were gonna, it was gonna be life threatening or anything like that. So
Sure.
But like every tough guy that I've known, you can name several tough guys. They're always you get man of the year awards, community of they do the most in the community. They donate the most. They're
usually the biggest sweethearts on the team, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and there's a few assholes out there. I'm not gonna lie. But every tough guy that I've met even the guys that I didn't like when I met them after hockey, like when we're done, some of the greatest guys, Steve Bossy and we had the biggest rivalry around.
I was going to mention him because he was on the cast of Shoresy. Was it in season 3, right?
Who was the one that recommended him to go there,
Right. Okay. So it was you.
And him and I had one of the biggest rivalries. And at the end of the day, we're at the restaurants having dinner and having a great time. And,
sure.
And, but, and then another thing I hate is when people say, oh, hockey fights are staged. They're not staged. Trust me. I have the scars and I have to show you guys.
Mm-hmm.
There was some where maybe it's too much of let's drop the gloves and put on a show. But at the end of the day, pretty much every fight has a meaning. Just the average fan might know what the meaning is, right? Maybe the game before, because guys will say, well, why did they fight off the very opening face-off of a game? Well, probably the game before that guy took a run at one of my better players.
Yeah.
Or John was wanted to get back on the flights back to New York. That's
yeah. So no, but it's good.
Our listener Tobias in Missouri asked the question: who's the most impressive enforcer you've ever faced?
That I've ever faced?
Yeah.
Shit, I don't like giving particular guys credit because every guy I want to give everyone credit.
Yeah.
I don't want to give one specific guy credit because anyone that has the balls to drop the gloves in front of 10,000, 20,000 fans.
Sure.
Yeah. It's nerve-wracking and it's scary, right? Because you're putting your name on the line, you're putting your health on the line.
Mm-hmm.
But I do say the one guy that I have a lot of respect for that, that was I think would have been like Bob Probert, maybe not as skilled as him play-wise, was Steve McIntyre. The guy was 6'6", built like me. He's like a truck, but he's also 6'6", so could throw with both hands. And when he hit hard. And so I have a lot of respect for Steve McIntyre as a fighter. He was probably one of the toughest guys that I would ever say was around. So sorry, guys.
That's all right. Cool. You're like on your hockey database here, it says 2022, 2023 was kind of the last season you played. Are you retired now, or are you just kind of looking for your
those last few years? I've been retired for about 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I play a little bit of local hockey, senior hockey back home, which is still pretty competitive. I mean, it's full contact.
Sure.
I mean, I don't fight. I actually usually get more goals than I do penalty minutes.
Oh yeah.
But the reason I played the last couple of years was I have a son, Tristan, who's 22. He's 21 years old now, but the last couple of years I wanted to play with him.
Right.
I thought that was pretty special, a father and son.
Oh yeah.
I guess that's one of the benefits of having a kid at a young age was I'm still young enough to put on the skates and go out there and play with him. And I think he was a little bit mad at me once in a while though, because he's still my baby boy, but he's a big, strong kid, and someone would take a dirty run at him. I was always the guy that was in there gonna take heads off. So, and he'd say, Dad, I could take care of myself. But so the team there would be like one of the local Metal Lake team here that I play senior hockey with, and just kind of an opportunity for a lot of my friends and family to watch me play, because they didn't get to experience me playing down south in the States or anything like that.
Sure. It's amazing. All right. So let's get to Shoresy. This is why folks are listening to this interview right now. How and when did you get the opportunity to join the cast of Shoresy?
Well, like I told you before, I'm in leadership back home, and our emails are obviously made public. So I had checked an email one day, and it was from some lady, I'll say, but I mean, obviously it was Kara Haffenson, who's pretty.
Yeah, we know Kara. Yeah,
a pretty big dog, right? So it basically just said, hey, my name's Kara. I'm part of a TV show called Letterkenny, which at that time I've never heard of. And I'm not trying to disrespect it, but I just don't watch TV.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, first thing that comes to mind is this has got to be a joke. At that time I'm 38 years old, and I'm a retired hockey player and never acted in my life. And I thought it was a joke, but I wrote back and said, I'd be interested. Let me talk to my wife about it. So I went home that night and talked to my wife, and I remember we actually YouTubed Letterkenny, some clips on YouTube. And first thing I looked at my wife, I said, that's the stupidest show I've ever seen. at the end of the day, I mean, it's a hell of a show, right? And the fan base that it has, but that's just me. I don't watch TV. As you can tell in the show, I don't have a sense of humor. I'm always like, yeah. You know.
Oh,
and
perfect. I'm gonna clip
that. That was my first reaction as well.
Yeah, Vic is not a big Letterkenny fan either. That's all right. You're in good company.
Yeah. So so anyways, I told my wife that, and she, we kind of laughed at it, and but that's what when I go on vacation, I don't ever check my work email. So we ended up leaving on vacation for a couple weeks to California. And when I got back, Kara had wrote me back and she says, well, can you please do this, this little, do a few of these words on your phone and send me a video of it. Like, like read a little script. And but I missed the deadline by like a week or two. So I wrote back, I said, out of respect, I just said, thank you for the opportunity, but I was gone on vacation. I didn't check my email. So have a good day. And within half an hour, she wrote me back. She goes, no, Jared really wants you on the show still. Can you please, are you able to be here a certain day? And so I went and talked to my wife, and next thing you know, 4 years later, I'm one of the gyms on Shoresy, and it's been a hell of a show. And
amazing.
If you ask me, it's been a hell of a success. Jared Kiso's he's a wizard. What he does and the way he does things, and to bring a bunch of guys like us that, never played the game before, or not never played the game, never acted before.
Yeah.
To turn us into actors is pretty awesome. And he does take a lot of advice from us because he wants to make it into like a real hockey show, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So, guys like me. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, he's said to us, even and when we've spoken to him, he's like, I can teach a hockey player to act, but I can't teach an actor to play hockey.
Yeah,
right? So I
think that's correct. A lot of us hockey players, myself, Jordan Nolan, even Brandon, we have a lot of experience in front of the camera because of hockey and interviews and stuff. So it wasn't so bad. For me, it's just like I said, he let us be a part of it. And, there was things when I do some hockey fight scenes, I'd say, Jared, I would never do that in a hockey fight. He'd say, okay, well, do it the way you want to do it then. And so that I really respect because his ego gets out of the way, and that's something that we did as hockey players. And so he trusted us. Right. And I could call Jared a good friend now, so I have nothing but utmost respect for the guy and care as well. And, the whole crew, the whole cast, it's awesome. It's just like a big family. And it reminds me of hockey because, obviously when you retire, you really miss the game. Right. And it's not the actual game that you miss. It's just being in the dressing room with the boys and, staying in hotels and going for dinner. So it's just like being a hockey player again. And, I'm excited that I had the opportunity, and I'm very thankful, and it's awesome.
So you can really relate to the Shoresy character then.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Like, I mean, I don't get me wrong. If I was on the other team, I'd be taking Shoresy's head off, but, it's just awesome. And I just love it. It's almost a big family now.
Yeah. Sorry, really quickly. Did Kiso ever reveal to you how, or like how he found you, or like, 'cause it sounds like, when Kara reached out, he's like, I need this guy. I want Mirasty. Did he talk at all about that and how he was drawn to you?
Well, shit, Jared's a huge hocky fight fan. I think he knows more about hockey fighting than I do. So I think he remembers some of the fights that I don't even remember that I was in. He's watched. So it's kind of funny. And I also partake in it's called the International Ice War. So it's basically the UFC on ice.
Right.
Okay. And I'm part of that. Like, I help recruit and find fighters and stuff for that.
Didn't Terry Ryan fight in one of those tourneys or something?
No, that was something he did in Boston. It was this is a real one that they fight for big money. And
gotcha.
I'd be too scared to put TR out there with some of these young guys that I bring in because they're pretty vicious. But
okay.
So anyways, but Jared's the guy that I actually go to get. Hey, I'm looking for a couple fighters, even in the minor leagues or the senior leagues, and he bangs off names that I don't even know, and it's pretty impressive. Wow. And every couple weeks I'll get he must be an early bird and a hard worker because he must be up writing the scripts for the show, because I'll get a text at 5:00 in the morning of a YouTube video of, did you see this fight last week? And so it's good. And I just really, Jared's a really down to the earth guy, and like I said, I thank him for the opportunity.
Amazing.
Now we got, we were privileged enough for season 3 to come up to Sudbury to be in the stands for for a few scenes.
Season 2.
Season 2, sorry.
Season 2, yeah.
So we got to see the process, right? I mean, and this is why Jared does what he does, the way he does it. Those hockey scenes are being, basically shot almost at full speed, and you guys are doing running the plays, and you're drawing them up just before you run them. So kudos, obviously to the production staff for being able to do that. And for you guys to be able to actually, execute on the plays, right? Like you're not actors, you guys are professionals or former pros. And you could tell from the speed, from the strength of your shots and stuff. When you got there, I mean, you'd probably never done any kind of TV before, right?
Nothing other than commercials for hockey and interviews and stuff. But nothing for the film industry at all.
Yeah. So even in those commercials for hockey, there's probably a lot of quick cutting and maybe not even a lot of, full body shots or whatever. But in Shoresy, he can do that because you guys are all players. Like, what did you like? Are you spoiled now? Do you think if Hollywood ever knocked on your door and said, hey, we want you to do this big Hollywood production, but you're going to stand in for, I don't know, Matt Damon, you know what I mean? Like, so we're only going to shoot you from the shoulders down.
Matt Damon.
I don't know. I'm looking at John and thinking, who looks like him? Anyway, like, talk about the authenticity of these scenes, because I've seen, we've seen Miracle on Ice, we've seen Mystery Alaska, great movies, but yeah, when it comes to the hockey action scenes, they don't compare to Shoresy.
Yeah, and that's a big thing of like what Jared said. He brought some hockey players to execute these because, that was our life for most of us since we've been 4 or 5 years old. We've been living on the ice, and usually I know because I usually play with the gyms, right? That's my line, and every single one of us has played NHL games and stuff. So I mean, and at the American League level, so we're all, whether I'm a goon or not, I have some skill to execute what they want us to do, and so I find with our line we can execute them pretty fast because it's just another day at the office, and And like I said, Jared provides that atmosphere that there's no real pressure. So we go out there and do our thing. And, usually I'll be the one to think, that we could do better. And no, that was perfect. And, you watch the show and he loves it. So it's like I said, he's done a hell of a job putting this group of guys together.
Yeah. I got one that's an adjustment. So coming from what you do best in your fight scenes in the show, was there any issue holding back?
I'm the guy that's getting in shit all the time. I'm carrying them's worst nightmare. I think the first season I might have accidentally cut a couple, but when a lot of the, like, other than when it was Bosse and a few others, those were real other fighters. Yeah, a lot of the other guys are just stunt guys, right? I think that's what they're called. But they're always telling me that to go 30%, but I don't know how to go 30%. I'm usually trying to go 90%.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. Like, it must have been hard.
And so I think the first couple seasons, I think I cut a few guys open on accident, and so there was a little bit of blood here and there, and but I'm getting better because I don't know if you guys watched the charity games that we did. I fought every game, and we had
we were at the Toronto game.
Yeah, we were at the Toronto game.
So the first one was in Detroit when I fought Darren McCarty, and then I fought my good friend Zenon Konopka. And I mean, obviously those are fake fights, but I had some people writing me saying, "Were those real?" And
so it's the WWE version.
Yeah. So it was, like I said, it was just for a charity and a good time, and those weren't even planned. It was actually those players that wanted to do it. So, and then we did one and we did two. I thought, well, we may as well do every single one.
Amazing.
That's amazing. Actually, really quickly, one of the guys from Reddit, Con73, was asking just in general how awesome that Detroit game was. Like for you personally, like was that a blast, or like talk about the classic a bit?
Oh, I loved it. I mean, it was every organization, especially Detroit. I mean, Detroit was shot off with a bang. Taking us into the dressing room to meet all the Red Wings and to see the facilities and just everything. It was so professional. It was so well organized. To this day, I'm still getting calls from the Detroit Red Wings alumni and they're sending me gifts and stuff. And
nice.
But it's not just Detroit. It was in Buffalo. It was in Toronto. It was in Boston. I mean, every organization were class acts, and just an awesome experience. And I know that it went above and beyond Jared's expectations. So I'm looking forward to doing the next ones. I know that we're planning on doing probably the entire NHL. So Very
wow.
fun,
Yeah.
very awesome. And, but you have to also give people like Kara in the background. She's not the one that's out, putting the show on, but to organize that for a bunch of guys is unbelievable. And she did an awesome job. And I can only imagine the stress that she has.
Oh, imagine that logistically what those games must have taken, especially in the bigger cities, right? In Toronto and Boston. Oh, and Detroit. Yeah, all those cities would have been a challenge. Victor?
Definitely.
It will be fun to think about which tough guy you're going to fake fight in every city that you go
Right,
to.
yeah.
We can start let's start a gambling thing here.
That's what I'm
Place
thinking.
bets.
Like, because there's so many options, like in some, like Philly. Oh my God, you're going to have so many options there.
Well, in Toronto, I was like, is he going to fight Wendell or is Domi going to be there? But who did you end up fighting?
Well, actually, Toronto was the hardest place. They wanted someone to do it, but Wendell didn't. He's getting too old.
Yeah,
and because the guys can still get hurt or banged up, and But I couldn't even remember his name. I don't want to be disrespectful, but I couldn't remember his name in Toronto. But he stepped up and did it right, and he wasn't even really a fighter that played in the game. But no, it was a great time, and it was a real highlight for me to play against. Like I would line up an opening face-off, lined up against Wendell Clark, who
amazing
was a childhood idol for me. And
us too. Well, because he's from Saskatchewan. Yeah,
good player, but tough as nails. And so it was really cool to be able to shake his hand and meet him, and really nice guy. So, but like I said, every organization that we were at were awesome. Boston did a great job, and it was just really nice.
Yeah. We had a great time.
It was great to see.
Yeah.
So, it was great to see Casey Joe Smalls in net for you guys in Toronto. That was a pretty cool one. Sammy Joe Smalls. Yeah, sorry. And then the couple shots that were on, then I saw Clark give her sort of like the nod, like I save. Like it was just the camaraderie out there was amazing to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
So I asked this of everyone we've had on, and we've had all of the hockey players on except for the Nolan brothers and you now.
Okay.
Who is the best player among the sluts, would you say?
Among the who?
The sluts, among the hockey, among the cast. Who would you say is the best player?
Oh, shit. I'm going to say me.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
No.
And you're going to dare anybody to take your belt, right?
obviously, you got to give Jordan some credit, NHL Stanley Cup champion. Yeah. His brother, Brandon, a really good player, played at the NHL level. Terry Ryan's a very good player, a lot older now, that old fucker, you can tell him. But
we'll have him on again. I'm gonna play him this.
Probably the highest draft pick out of all of them.
Yeah.
Jonathan, well, he is the highest draft pick, that's for sure.
Yeah.
We'll call him. But Jonathan Dole is a good hockey player, and Goody's pretty good. They're all. I'm gonna kiss Kiso's ass and say Kiso was the best one by all.
You cop out, man.
You lost a little respect for me there because
get the blue spatula.
I'm just saying everyone else gave an answer.
Okay, who should I give? I'm going to go with Jordan Nolan then.
That's the easy one because he's the only one with the cup, right?
Three of them.
Right. Well, yeah, at least one. Anyway, the other question. Well, and so. Off that question, who would you say, other than you, because obviously you're the toughest?
Oh, we know that. They know that.
Yeah. Other than you, who would be the toughest?
Who would be the toughest out of
everybody else?
That's a really good question. I'm going to go with Brandon or Jordan.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, that's who I have to go with.
You're sticking to the gyms.
Well, and it's not just the gyms. I'm going with their background.
Right.
When you play at that high of a level of hockey, you've been in a few fights.
Sure.
You're a good skater, so you're good on balance. So yeah, I mean, Big Mac is a pretty big boy too, and maybe he could chuck him.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say Terry Ryan's gone at least one round with the sledgehammer, so you can't discount that.
Yeah.
What was there any? Oh, God.
You'd have to throw TR in there. He's been in some good scraps too. I mean, but a lot of his fights I was too young to watch, right?
Sure.
I don't really remember. But he every once in a while he puts a fight on YouTube or on Facebook or social media, and I'm like, oh wow, he did pretty good there,
Yeah.
So I want to give all the guys credit. They're all good at something, and TR is probably the best bullshitter though.
Right. Yes.
I can see that one for sure.
We can totally see that.
Yeah.
Guy loves to tell stories.
So
he lost a big bet to me when we were in. Him and I both played for the Tri-City Americans in the Western Hockey League when we were young. So they had flew us in back in October to the home opener. And I'm a big Trump guy, and I might get booed for that. I don't really care. And he hates Trump. So I said, okay, well, let's bet it. Let's put your. We were at a bar getting drunk, and he started talking politics.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, Terry. I said, put your money where your mouth is. Let's bet then. I said, I bet you Trump gets in. And he said, oh no, Kamala's going to get in. I said, okay, well, what's the bet? That he says, okay, well, when we go on that tour, the alumni tour, he said, we're going to go to a 5-star restaurant, and the loser has to buy. So sure enough, who won? I won. And so me and the boys, we went to I think it was Joe's Seafood or something like that in Chicago, and our bill was a couple grand. Jesus. So I sent him the bill, but I didn't make him pay it all because obviously Keith was with me and a few others. So. But so TR lost a political bet to me.
Oh man, teaches him to stay out of politics. Anyway, we told our listeners you're coming on, so they had a bunch of questions for you. Joey from Colorado asks, had you ever been to Sudbury before, and what was your impression of the city?
Have I ever been to Sudbury prior to being in the show? Never. Sudbury's a nice city. I mean, it's a few hours north of Toronto. Yeah, a lot of rock. But I enjoy my time there. I mean, a lot of nice local people, and we get treated really well. And it's always nice to see. I had the opportunity the last time we were filming to go with Brandon and Jordan to their home community in Garden River. Nice. Beautiful trip, and being able to go to their home reservation was pretty cool, and spend time with his mom and dad, Ted, and get treated like a little baby by his mom and make us meals every night. It was awesome. So beautiful country in that area, definitely.
And a follow up to that question, Jeff from Maine, he wants to know, what's your favorite place to eat in Sudbury?
Well, I'm not going to lie. We spend thousands of dollars at the Keg Steakhouse. Pepe Panini's. We go there quite a bit too.
Sure. Yeah.
Pitter patter panini.
You can't beat the Keg, especially the Billy Miner pie, right?
Oh yeah, I have that every day. We actually share. Me and Brandon or me and Jordan share that all the time.
What? You share it? You let's share Billy Miner. Come on.
You got to watch my figure.
Did you feed each other though? Because it gets awkward at that point.
Oh yeah. People laugh. Me and Jordan once in a while we'll go for a nice dinner and we'll share a plate and we'll share a dessert, and we have to remind people, no, we don't swing that way.
Oh jeez. Another one from Jeff, and you kind of answered this already, but what would have been your favorite kind of memory from this fall classic tour that you guys just finished?
I think being able to bring my family there and let them see how popular Shoresy was. I flew. My wife and my mom and my grandma flew into Boston and met me for the Boston and Toronto.
Oh, nice.
So I think being able to show the popularity of the show, and my grandma was blown away. She couldn't believe how popular it was and the amount of fans that came out. And I guess being able to experience it with my family was pretty cool.
Yeah. Sarah from Wisconsin asked, what surprised you most about the TV making process? I mean, you mentioned you don't watch a whole lot of TV, so you probably didn't come with a lot of preconceived notions, but I mean,
I think the biggest thing for me, which was amazing, was when we go and film, we don't film it in order. So I still haven't really watched all of Shoresy yet. So I think what amazes me is how, the first day that we're there, we might be filming the very end of the season. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So how he puts it all together at the end and how it all comes into an actually storyline is what amazes me, because even when I'm done filming after the month and a half that we're there filming, I still don't really know what it was about. Because I never read my storybook. I call it, the boys will laugh at me because I call it the storybook, but it's our lines.
Sure.
So I don't really know what the story is about until I actually sit down and watch the show. But when you're filming, it's just amazing how it all comes together at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Was there any confusion on set? Like the gym? Like, how did you guys adapt to that? Or did they just say, all right, we need the gyms, and you guys came?
Well, it's always kind of pretty neat because I'm gym 1, so I'm always the one that responds first, and then Brandon's gym 2, and then Jordan's gym 3, and he always kind of has the nerdy line. He has a little bit more like mine's kind of and Jordan's or Brandon's is yes, and then Brandon's is yes, and then Jordan always kind of comes in with kind of a corny little line,
how was that decided, or did Jared already have that all planned out? Like, did you guys?
That's a Jared question.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have no clue. I do what I'm told.
I know you said you don't watch much TV, but maybe you follow wrestling, maybe you don't. Do you know that there's a wrestler, current wrestler that delivers the same line as you?
Not at all.
Yeah. There's a guy named LA Knight, and he says, yeah, after everything he says.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of a funny story too, because the guys were saying, well, did you study your lines last night? I'm like, why would I study my lines? I say one word, and then I think Jared, and then, oh, sorry, I got to end this here. You guys there still?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still here.
You froze for a second. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. So Jared said, well, how are you going to say it? And I jokingly went, yeah, kind of like real corny. And he had a smile from ear to ear. He goes, that's how I want you to say it every time.
Perfect.
And I don't think I originally was only supposed to say yeah, like a regular person, but I said yeah. And so that's my famous line is yeah.
But you've had more lines now, haven't you? I can't remember.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
But I'm the kind of guy I'd rather even when I used to fight in hockey, I never really wanted to spend too much time studying the guy that I was fighting.
All right.
I rather would just look at it and say, okay, I'm going to go and say it. And
so this isn't one of those things where I now that I've done this for a bit, I want more. I want to be able to do more. Like I want a Gym 1 storyline. Like you don't want any of that? You're not interested in that?
Oh, definitely. I wish I'd get a lot more lines, but I mean, it is what it is. And I don't care. It's, people will, I'd like to learn more and get more, but I just take what I get, and it's enjoyable.
Amazing.
Maybe we'll see more in this upcoming season.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I like easy stuff though.
Yeah. Tobias from Missouri asks, are there any opposing tough guys on Shoresy that you wish the fight wasn't scripted? And is it Bosse? I
gotta say I became really good friends with Steve Bosse, and yes, we've had a rivalry, but no one that I've fought on Shoresy at all that I want it to be real. I mean, because Bosse hit pretty damn hard, and I don't know if I want to be throwing at him full force and him throwing at me full force. We might kill each other.
Right,
so it's nice just to play fight now. Let's just say that.
Sure. And Jay from Edmonton just asking, what's the thing you're missing most about, not being a professional hockey player anymore?
It's being with the boys. It's not playing the actual game. It's not, being a hockey player. It's just being in there and spending time with the boys in the dressing room and the hotels, the road trips, flying on the plane and just bullshitting. And for me, but I'm happy with life after hockey. I have new goals, new things that I want to achieve. And now I like to look at hockey through my son and my kids.
Amazing. And I know I've seen you do a lot of work. The gyms the Nolans do a lot of work, and Antonin and Dolo flying up to the reserves up in the territories and stuff. You guys are doing a lot of great stuff for the Indigenous culture. Talk about that a bit, like the representation on Shoresy. Like how important is that to you?
Well, I think it's great. It's giving a lot of our Indigenous people an opportunity to succeed as well. And I think it's brilliant on Jared's behalf because, I'll be honest, a lot of Indigenous people probably would never really watch Letterkenny.
Right.
And, but now that he adds guys like me and Jordan Nolan and Brandon and also Andrew, and even the girls with the Native background, it brings a whole new crowd to watch, a whole new audience. And like I was telling Jared, if we come and do these charity games in Edmonton and Calgary, be ready for it to be sold out because, there's a lot of First Nations in Alberta and Saskatchewan. And with us guys coming in, they're going to have no problem selling tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They might have to do an outdoor game because it'll be so big.
Yeah. I know.
I just gave Jared an idea. An outdoor game with Shoresy would be pretty cool.
Can you imagine? Yeah, that would
the Shoresy Winter Classic.
That would be amazing.
Maybe in Edmonton in the CFL stadium or something. Who knows?
Wow, that would be 50,000 seater. That'd be great. Victor, do you have any final questions for John?
Sure. I'll ask two. One, you probably won't be able to answer anything, but are you going to be in the upcoming Shoresy video game? And have you had to do any work for that?
Good one.
Oh, what would it be a video game without the gym?
All right. I love it. I love it.
I honestly don't know that answer, to be honest. I just seen someone share it on social media and I thought that was pretty cool, but I'm not aware of the video game at all.
Okay. Well, it's going to be we can't wait to learn more about it.
And did you ever imagine? I mean, I'm sure there's I know there's Funko Pops of you, and probably but you're going to be in a video game. Like, did you ever dream that might be the case? Like when you were playing hockey?
Well, we were already on video games. The Nolans and I,
I guess the NHL,
with the NHL ESP, or it is EA Sports or whatever.
EA Sports. Oh yeah, you're in there.
So
would you play with your own character, or would you always pick somebody else? Tell the truth.
I'm too slow and not skilled enough. I'd pick somebody else.
Sorry, Victor.
Yeah. And so my other question is about Sean Avery. So when you were younger watching him play, did you think that he was a tough guy or a shit disturber?
Oh, he's not a tough guy whatsoever. I like the way he plays because, I mean, he creates havoc on the ice, but by no means would I consider him a tough guy.
Mm-hmm.
Neither would Brodeur.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
and
that's it for me.
Matt, your final question?
Yeah, actually, I've got two quick ones. One, I caught a clip of, it was a small interview clip of you like 13 years ago with dropping the gloves or something like that. And they asked you the question, if you couldn't play hockey, what'd you do? And your answer was be a cowboy. Now, I've seen some of your photos on your Instagram. I feel like the home life isn't drifting too far from that, and that's still what you're doing. What's your take on that?
Oh yeah, horses is my passion, and my little girls are nothing but cowgirls now. And I shouldn't say I'm a cowboy. I want to be an Indian.
It felt weird asking it, but I'm like, that's what you said. So
yeah, no, we own about 20 horses. I do an equine program. I take youth and work with my horses and travel all over the north and bring my horses to different communities and use horses to kind of get to the troubled youth. Yeah. And I find it very successful, and it's a passion of mine. I mean, I get paid to do it, but that's the kind of job you want, is to make money doing what you love, right? So, so on my side gig is an equine program that I do with horses, and so I'd still consider myself a cowboy. I just don't dress like it.
Love it. And then my question I ask everyone, and I know you're not a big TV guy, but I think especially after the Classic and the tour, and you've gotten a sense of the impact that Shoresy's had on pop culture and all that, what has it all meant to you?
Oh, it's awesome. It's just to see how much success it's came as a group, as a, I guess I call us a team, right? As a family, to be able to share all the opportunities that we had in the game, and even get my wife and my family involved. And it's been a ride, and I'm just riding the wave, to be honest.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Fuck yeah, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah. John, you've been great tonight, and you've given us a full hour, and we appreciate you for that. Is there anything you want to shed light on or bring attention to, that you're working on, and where do you want people to follow you or follow along with what you're doing?
Yeah, well, I'm on Instagram. I don't even know. I think it's called the Mirasties or something like that. Mm-hmm. But no, not at all. Just be prepared. I know what's the date today, the 20th. In 4 days, it'll be airing in Crave, and I think that next day or a couple days later, it'll be in the States on Hulu.
No. A month later. Don't get them excited. No.
Are you sure? I seen on my face. I think it's Jack.
No. So 2 episodes drop on Friday, and then once a week in Canada, and in the US it's February 26th. I'm pretty sure. That's off the Bell release. So.
Oh, I better change my advertising. I said it was okay. Well,
you're gonna get a lot of people excited.
That's all right. They're not gonna come at you though.
Yeah, that's all right.
Tell them if they want to start it, they can set the tone with me. I'll be ready.
There you go. So,
but,
John,
I think that's pretty exciting to have that airing right away, and stay tuned. There's more to come.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. And we're looking forward to Shoresy 4, and also excited to hear that you talked about shooting season 5 coming up. So that's amazing too.
Possibly.
All right.
I said stay tuned.
Well, we know you've been signed up for another season, so we know it's happening. We just don't know when.
Okay, I don't want to get I don't want to get myself. I guess I could say it. I don't want to get my pee slapped.
All good.
Don't worry. No one's gonna give too much away more than TR.
Yeah,
so
TR spills the tea all the time. Yeah.
TR is the source. That's the guy to go to.
No, yeah, he's the guy who drops it all the time. All right, but we're going to play us off here with a song by Mr. Dolo, and it's Going Gold.
17. Old screen.
Repetition.
dreads to get you high. Never go broke, we going gold, I'm protecting the brand.
That's all we have for this episode. Don't forget, you can use a promo code no, we can't. That doesn't exist anymore. Sorry. If you'd like to support the podcast, please rate us on iTunes, Spotify, or become a patron. You can follow us on most social media outlets at ProTestantPod. Thank you for joining us. Now we're off to have some puppers with our new friend John. On behalf of John, Matt, Victor, and myself, thank you for listening. Have a great week.
Icy roads, we sliding on skates. Playing night, slept with nothing in my belly. Praying tomorrow be okay. What it do, what it does. It's time that we separate. These are my friends, but they don't.